دوستان عزیز خوش آمدید به بعد افغان. در وقتی که حکومت امارات اسلامی آمده زاتین خارجی ها و وطندارای افغانی ما در بیرون کشور افغانستان زندگی میکنن و پس گشتن در افغانستان و زاتین افغانای ما که جمعن به یک دلیل کمکی آمدین، با یک نیت آمدین، چی از خاطر وطنشون ببینن، فامیلشون ببینن یا خدمت وطن کنن. یکی دوستان از دانمارک آمده پس گشت در افغانستان به خدمت وطن و همکاری افغان ها. بپرسیم از پیششون چقدر وقت میشه که افغانستان آمدن، چی فعالیت میکنن در افغانستان و چی حس میکنن از جماعت اسلامی. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
Can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ruh-Zlemi. I was born in Afghanistan and moved to Denmark in Europe in 2002, where I have lived since. We have a non-profit charity where we try to help poor people in Afghanistan. So the reason why I'm here in Afghanistan is to try to help where there is much need.
So how old were you when you went to Denmark?
I was 5 years old.
You were 5 years, so have you studied, grown up, everything in Denmark?
Yes, everything. Of course, I have visited Afghanistan many times. The last time was 2019 in the past government, and now I'm here again. It's two different worlds. You can't compare Denmark to Afghanistan.
We will come back to that before the political analysis about these two government. But I want to ask you something. I mean, there's a lot of Afghans living abroad. You know, we have a lot of Afghans. I think in Denmark it's only 45,000 Afghans live in Denmark. So, but it's not everybody who's coming back to Afghanistan to try to support Afghanistan. You are saying you have an NGO, a non-profit NGO, trying to help Afghan against poverty, widows, etc.
Yes.
So what did motivate you to think about Afghanistan or to come here to Afghanistan and try to do effort for the Afghans?
I think the biggest part is to perspective, if you call it like that, you know, to try to put yourself in the situation of the Afghan person. The other times when I came to Afghanistan, I didn't do this work. I have a friend, a brother in Denmark who started this. So I follow him very closely the past 4 years, and then I got encouraged to do it myself. As you told, there's a lot of Afghans alone in Denmark. Denmark is a very little country. If you look,
3 islands or 4 islands.
yeah, exactly. When you look in Germany and Sweden and a lot of other countries, there's many thousands of Afghans. I think it's very sad that they don't try to come back here and try to do something, because it's hard to reach everyone. Last time I came in 2019, it was not, you know, the poverty was not so high as it is right now. The time we are in now, there is more need for people like us to come here and try to raise these poor people's voice and to show the world that we are in a very, very, very bad situation here in Afghanistan. So I think he was my motivation to do it, because we train together, fitness, and we eat together and we see each other often.
So very close.
Yeah, so it affects me when I see the thing he goes through. Then I got the courage to do it myself.
So I got the point that you are very close to this brother Ikram, who motivated to begin working humanitarian as activism here in Afghanistan. But why do you think that a lot of Afghans abroad doesn't get involved? Like, do you think it's lack of motivation? Do you think it's lack of other people goes for?
I think it's no matter which situations you stand in life, it's always about taking the first step. It's always hard, you know, like opening a business. You think, oh, will it work? Will it not work? So it's always taking the first steps that are hard. For me, it was the same. I've thought about it for many years before this also, but I didn't have the courage to do it. So he was like the helping hand to do it, because there is a lot of, how can you say, organizations who do it. I'm not telling that people should come to Afghanistan and open a new organization, but they can come here and help the organizations that are here from before. Because when you live in Europe, you know a lot of people. Of course you do. So if you try to raise these people's voice in your own area, then it will make a difference. The biggest, how can you say, the most important thing is just to make the difference. Because a little thing can mean so much here for people. When I sit in Denmark, I have everything. I don't need anything because the only thing I'm thinking of is getting a new car or going to the barber or going to something, just normal. Yes, exactly. Yeah. And here in Afghanistan, they are wondering what should we eat tomorrow. We don't have food. We don't have clothes. We don't have jackets to the kids.
It's true that there's a huge difference between two worlds, because Afghans here in the situation right now is like Afghan doesn't have the basic needs, covered, like food, water, or safety at least. While we here in Denmark, I also from Denmark, so I know I can put myself in the situation where you have everything, but you want more,
Yes.
It's about luxury, it's about materialism, it's about capitalism. But now you have worked here in Afghanistan since 2019. What was the best experience you had during your work as in your organization, and what was the saddest scenario you have experienced?
Just to be straightly honest, it makes me so much happy when I just buy a pair of shoes for a little kid. To see the smile on their faces, it's undescribable. In Denmark, I don't get the same feeling if I get a new car as if I give a little kid a pair of shoes or a jacket. Because you just see through their eyes how much it means for them. In Denmark, you are more like whatever, it's just normal things. You drive a BMW, your friend drives a Lamborghini. You try to get a Lamborghini also.
Exactly.
It's more, they compare themselves on a different scale. So the happy moments are 100% when you make the difference for the people, when you come over to them and you grab them and say, hey, I'm here, I want to give you this. And they just smile. And
the value is bigger.
Yeah, the value is so much bigger, and it's so a little thing. It's not a big thing, In Denmark, it means so much for them. In Denmark, we are used, shoes and jackets.
Exactly.
Everyone has it. We don't think of it. Breakfast, it's normal, You think
the fridge is always full.
Yeah, exactly. You think of going to a fancy restaurant or something like that. Here, they try to find beans just to get something to the stomach, so they don't. So they can survive. But I will say the saddest part was actually a few days ago. I visited a family, actually 2 women. They had a lot of children, and what happened was that I asked them their history, and they told me that the one widow told me that her man was slaughtered in the mountains, and now she was alone with 5 kids. And as you know, the Afghan woman cannot work. Cannot provide for themselves, so it's in a they are in a very bad situation. No matter what, I talked with them and I told them that I would try to help them and try to provide with something.
So did you provide them something? What did you provide them?
Yeah, we try to provide with
Try, or did you do it?
We do it, but it's just like we look on each person for themselves. Some persons has jackets from before and shoes. They need food, or they need something to warm on themselves, so we do that part. And then there is other people who need jackets for their kids and shoes, so we do that. So we go out and take the videos first and see what the need is. After we find out what the need is, then we come back and give them what they need. But it's not so much about that. It was more that when I went out of the house, I saw an old man. He was like 75, almost 80 years old, and he came over to me, and he was the father to the boy who got slaughtered, the widow's man, his father. So he came over to me.
Father-in-law.
Yes, it was her father-in-law. So he went over to me and we just talked, had a little chat, and then I saw his hands, and they were bleeding, and totally destroyed his hands. And he was like 75, 80 years old.
Hands.
Yeah, and he told me his story that he carried his son from the mountain and buried him himself, and told the story that his leg was in one place and his head was in another place, and as I talk with him, I try to hold myself because it affected me so much because I was like, if I cry now or if I do something, he will also cry. Yeah. So I tried to hold myself back, and then I could just see him crying, you know. And I pointed to the guys. I was like, let's go.
Because you were almost affected by it.
Yeah, exactly. And we have written their names and everything, you know. So we would come back again. Yeah. But I was like, okay, we have done the work. Now we just have to go back and buy what we need for them, so we can help them. But let me just get out of the situation because I'm almost, breaking. Yeah. So when I spoke with him and the talk was finished, I went to the car, and I started the car straightly just to get away from there, because I could feel emotionally that I was going to break, mentally. And then I just started crying. It was not planned, it was nothing, it was just straightly from I cannot remember last time I cried. So it was just insane.
It touched you.
How it touched me in that way. So that was if I tell you what was the saddest part or the saddest story, that was 100% the saddest story, because before that I went to 11 families who also were widows, who have lost their men in war. But when I saw this, all the older men, in Denmark, when you are 65, 67,
you got your pension,
you can relax, you get money from the government, and there's nothing, you can just chill with your grandkids, and here I look on a man who is very old, and he's still working just to earn an amount of, when we turn it to Danish krones, when I talk with them, I perspectivate to Danish krones, because that's what Danish I can. Valuta, yeah, exactly. And one Danish valuta is like 10 Afghanis. So when he told me he earned 100 a day, which is nothing,
No, it's 10 krones or something.
It's like 10 krones, yeah. So I was like, okay, 10 krones in Denmark. When I get that back in change in a store, I just say keep it.
Keep it, exactly.
So his story affected me just in a whole other way than all the others. I'm not saying that the others didn't affect me. It affected me.
Well, it was something special.
It was something special to see so old a man having 2 widows and 10 kids, and he is the only man taking care of them.
Thank you for sharing the story, and I think it's give a lot of thoughts about the life in Denmark, and here is a good comparison. So, how long have you been here this time?
This time I actually came. I was not prepared.
Okay.
Because my uncle passed away.
Allah.
And when he passed away, there was a lot of work to do, because we had to get, the coffin to Afghanistan, and we bury people, in Afghanistan. It's like it had always been like that. So we just booked the tickets, and the reason why I'm in Europe is actually because of my uncle. He was the first person to flew away or go to Denmark.
Refugee in Denmark.
Yes, and then we came afterwards. My father came and so on. Yeah. And then when he passed away, then I came here, and I was here I'm here for 1 month. I have 7 days left, but I came in a sad way, because I had the funeral, thinking of that. And
so let me just understand, you come because of a funeral and you were sad, and somehow you change the sadness to also do a good positive effort impact here in Afghanistan for the poor people, right?
Yes, exactly.
That's amazing. Like this, if someone, my family member die, I don't think I will have the, resource or energy to overcome that, and also try to do something good for other people. I'm actually affected.
Yeah.
Where did you find the energy? Where did you find this kind of power?
I will say, I'll say it like that. I'll make it short. 2 weeks before my uncle passed away, he told me a lesson which I will take with me all my life. He told me, don't educate yourself to drive a nice car or to live in a fancy house or have a lot of money. Try to do something that helps people.
He sounds very wise.
He was very, very wise. When I struggled in life, I went over to him and I sit with him, and he just took me on the right path. You know, don't think, don't stress. And he was good at, you know, cheering people. So his words after he died just came in my head all the time. Yeah, repeating. And my brother Ikram, my friend in Denmark, you know, he have put this together. So I was like, this is the best opportunity just to do something. But if I should be honest, it's also a lot of stress because the one day you are here and the other day you are there.
And you not got paid by it?
No,
right?
it's non-profit.
Voluntary?
Yes, so when I drive somewhere, I use my own money, you know, for fuel and for eating and for everything. Because I always say, haq is haq, you know. Your pocket is your pocket. If I take something from that, then I will never be, how do you say it?
You'll never be clean, like it's that kind of steal, right?
Yeah, if you steal something, I will never be forgiven except from you.
Exactly.
So when people send money to us, I see it also in that way.
Yeah.
So I will not see myself in the mirror if I took those money or used it to food or used it to fuel and stuff like that.
So you use the Islamic perspective to build you moral.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's one of the most important thing if you do charity, to
have a strong moral compass.
Yes, because there's a lot of people that, unfortunately, you know it yourself, that there is some people in the past who took the money for themselves.
So do you think the new government's fault or is the international community's fault that the poverty is so has arisen?
It's actually a very good question you ask, because I think it's the international community who have failed the Afghan people. All the effect in the 20 years they tried to build are just collapsed, and the Taliban need some help. They need a guide through how to build up this land. In my point of view, I will say that there is not so many works no more, and also the fundraising for the government is very low. They don't have the ability to go out and make jobs for people, because they have people, enough people from before, and it's hard for them to find new jobs for people, so it's hard for the Afghan person to provide for themselves.
What do you think about the international community says to Taliban, like, you need to accept the international law, you need to create equality before we're going to cooperate or accept you as a government or as a country, you know? So the international community have, that what UN and America have been told, have said until now, is like, you need to make some political changes before we can support you, or we can support the Afghan as we did before.
But in my point of view,
do you think it's a valid point?
No.
Why not?
I think it's a good point, because they should make the equalization for women and men.
Who should make?
The Taliban. Like, you know it yourself, that women cannot go to school and educate themselves. I'm not happy for that part. I think it's a...
I think nobody's happy for that.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bad way to go on. A path is the wrong path to go on. But I'm also thinking that I see people daily struggling, widows who have children who goes to bed, hungry, who lives in Kabul. You know that Kabul is a very cold place in the winter, and they don't even have, how can you say, something to warm themselves on.
So you're trying to say the international community, the American, should not use the Afghans, the financial situation, the Afghan as a political tools to demand some political changes against Taliban?
Yeah, I think that the best way should be that they should try to find a way like UNICEF and WFP, who are making a big difference. You know, making some organizations where the money goes to the organizations, or they create themselves.
Instead of the government?
And try to help the people themselves, instead of sending it to the government. If they don't agree with the government, okay, fair enough. in every government there is always something that you support, something that you don't support. So that's why I'm saying try to not go the government way, try to go the people's way.
So try to take the political disagreement away and focus on the need of Afghans.
Yeah, exactly, because the people who are sitting in the government has no problems, in my point of view. They have a home, they have their kids have shoes, their kids have jackets, their sons goes to schools and education and take all that. But the widows and when I go out and see people, I am more sad about the women's and the widows especially and the kids. That's my main area where I try to focus a lot, because they have nothing to provide for themselves or their kids, and I'm just always trying to set myself in the situation. How would I feel if I had 5 kids going to bed hungry, who didn't have shoes or jackets, and it was minus 10 degrees.
So, I mean, I got the point where you're trying to say let's focus on building Afghanistan, helping Afghanistan, compare focusing at the political situation. Now we've been in 1 month, and I've asked this question most of my guests. What was the most positive experience you have with the current government, and what's the baddest experience you have with the current government?
I would say government-wise with the Taliban, if you just, how can you say it? If you just mind your own business, they don't have nothing to do with you. That's one part that I actually like. I haven't got problems with them yet.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, exactly. Because every time they come over and ask for some, documents, I just provide the documents and they just let me go. And in Kabul, they are actually very nice when they find out that we help people.
I'm glad to hear that.
Because I think that every person should be happy if someone is standing up for these people. You should not be
for who? What people?
For the poor people.
For poor people, okay.
For the widows, for the children's. Because it's, in my point of view, if I see a Muslim, or I don't care if you're yellow or you're Muslim, if just a person stands up for a poor and help him with something, I actually get happy. And I wish that they get the energy and strength to do it with thousands of more people. So in, how can you say, bad and good experiences, I haven't actually experienced something bad, because I have not done something that,
You've owned your own business.
I have owned my own business, so I haven't given them a chance to, chase me or something, But they have actually been very nice when they find out that we are doing what we are doing. When I walk around like this in Kabul and in Afghanistan, we operate in more places than just Kabul.
The several provinces.
Yes. So when I walk around, of course, I'm not like, I don't wear the same as the majority of the people, so I get targeted. So when they come over, it's just, what are you doing? Yeah, I just show them the paper and then they let me go.
Nothing is good. Nothing's wrong.
Everything is good. So I have not experienced any troubles with them yet, and I hope, of course,
We are reaching the ending of the interview right now.
Yes.
If you should have a message for anyone right now, it doesn't matter if it's Afghan in Denmark, if the Danish government or the current government in Afghanistan, what should it be? You can send your message right now. Just look at this camera and send your message to them.
Yeah. I will say, first of all, I have some things on the heart to tell to you. The first point is that I know there is a lot of people sitting and watching this. I hope that you will try to make an effort. It doesn't matter if it's 10 crowns, 10 Danish crowns, or it's 10 euros, or it's 50 euros, or dollars, or whatever it is. Just make a difference. Besides that, there is also a lot of Afghans and Afghan brothers and sisters around the world. I hope also that you see this and try to see us as a motivation and a strength to do something yourself. Besides that, I also hope that the governments around the world will try to not just support the government, but try to find something to provide for the poor people. That is my message to all of you, and inshallah you get the strength to just. It doesn't matter if you help 1,000 persons. If you just help one person, it's a big thing. So that's my message to all of you, and I hope that you will make a difference. That's the most important thing.
بازم تشکر به میمان است ما کاملا یک افغان بسیار بهتر، بسیار عزیز و حس عزیز داشته و کپایش بسیار خوب بوده و پیغام وطندارم از خارج که آمده می است که کوشش کنه که بخصوصا به افغانان که بیرون که افغانستان هستن کوشش کنین که از طریق سیاسی سعی ببینین و نظر داشته باشین، کوشش کنین افغانای خودتون ما را در افغانستان کمک کنه و گفته خودش فرق نمیکنه 10 روپیه باشه 20 روپیه باشه 50 روپیه باشه، مهم امی است کوشش کنین که یک افغانتون خدمت کنین، همکاری کنین که خیر به شما برسه. تشکر جان، سپاس که با ما و روز خوش.